latest stories, do sign up for GB News Alerts or go to gbnews.com/alerts. Now, let's take you live to the United States for Farage.
Good evening. Well, I tell you what, without further ado, let's get straight into it. This was the beginning of the interview when I talked to him about US politics and the election coming up on November the 5th. Well, we're back at Mar-a-Lago with Donald J. Trump, and first things first, the most important thing, thank you for allowing GB News to be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Delighted to be here. Now, how interesting. It's a rematch, 5th of November 2024. It's Trump v. Biden again. How are you feeling about this campaign? What do you think your prospects realistically are?
So in 2016, we did great. In 2020, we did much better than 2016. Got millions and millions of votes more, and very bad things happened. Very, very bad things happened, and we're not going to let that happen again. But the COVID came in, and they used COVID for reasons other than COVID. And it was a disgrace, frankly, and that's what happened to our country. You look at the borders, you look at everything. Everything is bad with our country right now. It's gone so bad under this guy, the worst president in history. And we're going to do, I think, very well. The polls have us leading by a lot. And there was a lot of cheating going on, and we're going to get that cheating stopped to work on that. I say to my people, don't worry about the votes. We got plenty of votes. You just make sure during that period, it used to be 1 day. Now it's 40 days and 45 days and 48 days.
This is the mass mail-out ballots, yeah?
The ballots are a disaster. Anytime you have mail-in ballots, anytime you have mail-out or mail-in, they call them different names, anytime the mail is involved, you're going to have cheating. You're going to have cheating.
So
it's too bad people don't say it. They don't want to say it. But we are going to have, I think, a very good election. The way you win the election is, and you have to do this. I saw on a show the other day, they said, well, you have to allow a certain amount for cheating. I said, since when do you have to allow a certain amount for cheating on the other side? But you swamp them. You swamp them, and we win big. And all we do is we focus on that. And that's a bad lot. That's a bad, sick lot of people. They've destroyed our country. Look, they've allowed 15 million probably. That's the number. 15 million people. 15 million people. That's my opinion. Some people say it's a little bit less. What difference? It's bigger than most states. 15 million people to come in from prisons. They come from prisons, many of them. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums like Silence of the Lamb, Hannibal Lecter. I wonder if he's one of them. They're terrorists coming into our country, totally unchecked. We have no idea. They either hate our country or they're very stupid.
I mean, 2016, build a wall. That was one of the great slogans of that campaign. You built some of it.
I built most of it.
Not all of it, most of it.
Yeah.
Trump too. What does Trump turn to do about the millions that have come and the millions, including thousands of Chinese, which I find quite extraordinary.
We're equal opportunity. We take from everybody. But Biden has no idea where they're coming from. We had the safest border in history 3.5 years ago. The safest border. I built 571 miles of wall, which is more than I said I was going to build, by the way. And then I was going to add another 200 miles. And this is despite opposition from some Republicans and all Democrats. And the wall made a big difference. But Mexico also contributed very greatly because they gave us free of charge tremendous numbers of, I would say, 28,000 soldiers, free of charge. And we had the best border we've ever had. Now we have the worst border in the history of the country.
How do you get it back? What are you going to do to stop this?
Very much like I did the first time. We're going to drill, baby, drill. We're going to close up the borders. We're going to come in. You can come into the country, but you have to come in legally. Don't forget, I had policies that nobody ever even thought of. Remain in Mexico. How about that? You had to remain in Mexico. We would not accept you in our country unless you were approved to come through. And we had tough borders. You know, Biden likes going to the beach. You can see that. He's always in a bathing suit. It doesn't look good, but he thinks it does, and some advisor does. He could have gone to the beach if he would have left my policies in order, having to do with the economy, having to do with everything. If they would have left what we had, you wouldn't have had inflation. You would have been energy independent. We were energy independent, soon to be energy dominant. And now we get oil from Venezuela. It's not even believable. Do you know the crime in Venezuela is down 67%? You know why? Because they put all their criminals in our country. They put their gang members, their gang leaders, they moved them to America. And
but it's not just people, though. It's fentanyl. Fentanyl coming in.
Well, it's fentanyl and it's human trafficking at levels that we've never seen before. We had it down to one of the lowest levels ever. It's a horrible thing. The human trafficking, mostly in women, horrible thing. You think of it as an ancient kind of a crime. It's not. And what's made it so big is the internet, believe it or not. I said, why would this be more than ever before? It's the internet. But they're coming in now. The human trafficking is, the traffickers are at levels that we've never seen before. It's unbelievable what's going on.
Can you deport people who come across the border?
Yeah, you'll deport them. I'm going to deport them.
You are?
Yeah, sure, I'm going to deport them. They're here legally, especially these criminals. We're going to get them out right away. We have millions of criminals in our country that are up for murder and drug dealers and everything else. We have, what's happened to our country is not even to be believed. These people, they're destroying our country. Maybe, and some people would say they've destroyed it. Look at the crime in the cities. We have a new crime. It's called migrant crime. I call it Biden migrant crime because he's allowed this to happen. New York City has 500,000 migrants. Kids can't play Little League anymore. People can't move around the city anymore. People are being mugged. Policemen having fistfights in the middle of a street. Where did you ever see that? They're having fistfights. Now, in their country, they'd be shot immediately. In this country, they're politically correct, okay? But we're going to do things to help our law enforcement. We're going to get them immunity so they can't get arrested and charged and destroyed, lose their house.
So tougher policing.
Yeah, if they stop crime, they're going to be able to stop crime.
We learned in 2020 that the big social media giants, there were things they did not want the American people to discuss. The laptop, Hunter Biden laptop being a very good example of that. Your speech in Ohio the other day, talking in that state that's been associated with car making for over 100 years, and just flicking through American press particularly, Trump says there'll be a bloodbath if he doesn't win the election. What is happening with I mean, clearly, you were talking about an economic bloodbath
right.
in terms of the car manufacturing industry and what China was doing, setting up in Mexico, and yet this is what's being pushed,
right.
picked up by left-wing media sources all over the world. It's quite interesting.
Well, it happens all the time. So bloodbath, talking about it's going to be a bloodbath in the auto industry because we're going to lose our whole industry because this guy's going to all electric cars, and they're made in China. That's where the material is. That's where the minerals are. That's where everything is. They're going to all be made in China, and they want to go all electric cars. One of the dumbest. They don't go far. They cost too much, et cetera, et cetera. And if you want electric, you can get electric, but you've got to have other forms of propulsion, and we're going to have that. We're going to have gasoline. We have more gasoline than any country in the world, meaning oil and gas. And we have it, and they don't want us to use it. You figure that one out. So the electric mandate's going to destroy the auto industry. And I said, it's going to be a bloodbath. It's going to be a terrible bloodbath for the auto industry. They're being led right down there. They have a leader that would only go Democrat, I guess, because I'm going to create, I guarantee you that the people within that industry, or all the workers, are with me. Because the United Auto Workers, it's going to be put out of business.
That's really interesting, because it is part of the shift. And I noticed the way the bloodbath's been used. It's no surprise that GB in America, many British titles are doing well in America. I get a feeling American people increasingly don't trust American media titles.
Well, they don't trust, but you know, when you use the word bloodbath, I did a little Truth the other day. Truth is on fire. Yeah. It's doing great. And I put it out this morning, I guess it was put out, and it talks about the word bloodbath, and all of the people that are complaining about it, they all used it. It's a commonly used phrase when you're getting slaughtered economically, when you're getting slaughtered socially, when you're getting slaughtered. And they use it all the time. And we have many examples, and we put out all those examples. Yeah. But that doesn't stop it.
Some incredible polling from the black community. Yep. More than double the numbers of the black community supporting you this time to just 4 years ago. The Hispanic community, I mean, the change that is going on there. What is it that's attracting those traditionally Democrat-type voters to you? Yeah. What's happening here? What's the issue? Different
community. So with the black community, I'm getting tremendous polling. Nobody's ever seen it like for a Republican. I did criminal justice reform. They know it. I did opportunity. Look, I gave them opportunities that nobody's ever given. The opportunity zones and all of the other work that I've done with Tim Scott, a great senator from South Carolina, and a great guy, by the way. He ran, and I say he promotes me better than he promoted himself. He's unbelievable. He goes, and he said, I don't like talking about myself. I said, that's actually a nice trait.
Was that his audition to be the VP?
Yeah, well, he's one of the many people that people talk about, and he's certainly a very capable guy, but he's been incredible. But we did opportunity zones. But think of it, criminal justice reform, opportunity zones, and I funded the black colleges and universities. And nobody did that. For years and years, they didn't do it. They just wouldn't do it. And I did it. I got it funded for a long time. For 3 years, the heads of these universities, I'd have, on average, probably 45, 50 people come every year. I said, why do you keep coming? Why? They said, because one of them said to me, rough, he said, they make us like we're like the old days, like from 150 years ago. And you know what? He said, they make us feel like beggars. And I said, why? He said, they make us come back every year. I said, we're going to take care of you long term. And I took care of them long term. I said, the only bad thing, I got them a lot of money, got them more money than they asked for the colleges, and they perform a very important function, and they do a great job. And so I took care of them, Nigel. And I said, the only bad thing is I've gotten to like you guys, and I'll never see you again. I probably will never see them again. But they don't have to come to Washington every year. Black people saw that. Hispanics, very entrepreneurial people. Yeah. They like me, I like them. I mean, I'm leading all along Texas and the Texas.
And kind of family values as well, perhaps quite important.
I think there's family values.
Christianity quite important in that community?
I think so. All of the things. Look, we're doing so well. Nobody's ever done well with the Hispanics like I've done, with the black community. The whole thing has been amazing. Asian community. We're doing well with women. It just came out because women want security. They want to have security. Other countries are laughing at us. We have Iran building a nuclear weapon. That would have never happened with me.
Well, a very bullish Donald Trump. He clearly thinks he is going to win the election. He sees the polls going his way. And boy, doesn't he have a go at US mainstream media. Well, joining me to discuss some of the content of that is Michael Arosa, former press secretary for the First Lady in the Biden administration. Michael, just to start on the media point, I mean, I'm sure, during your time working with the Bidens, you've seen newspaper headlines that have made you angry because they've been out of context. Trump, I mean, he does have every right to be angry, doesn't he, about the way the word bloodbath has been used?
Well, Donald Trump himself has always had a casual relationship with the truth himself in our country. So, yes, I would tend to agree that it was probably taken out of context. But it was a Republican senator actually yesterday who said, a Republican senator from Louisiana who said it's this kind of language, even though he was referring to the auto industry, talking about a bloodbath if he's not elected. That's the kind of rhetoric and language that really turns off the voters that Mr. Trump needs to win a close election. Places like in the suburbs where he lost to Joe Biden by 10% and lost to, I think, Hillary Clinton by 6%. So, that kind of language overall, even though it was taken out of context, I'd probably use different language if I were him going forward.
OK, no, I get the point you're making. Now, look, at the moment, Michael, if you look at the swing states, he is clearly, at the moment, in the lead, and that's perhaps why he's as bullish as he is. But, I put it to you, that actually, maybe the Democrats would be better to change horses. Maybe Joe Biden at 81 is just too old to be the candidate this time round.
Well, there's two candidates who are old. They're only about 3 years apart. Regardless of who wins, we're actually going to elect the oldest president in American history for the third election in a row. So Americans have proven that they really don't view age as an impediment. That said, we have two old men, neither of whom are particularly popular at the moment, personally. However, one has 91 criminal indictments against him. The other one doesn't. So that has to play a role as well, age, but also character.
Yeah, well, some people hate Trump, some absolutely love him. The very, very strong emotions that he arouses. But come on, Michael, who do you think is going to win? Who is going to win on November the 5th?
So I'll say two things. I do think, Joe Biden never trailed Donald Trump in the polls in 2019 and 2020 when I was on the Biden campaign. So it is concerning to see Joe Biden consistently behind. That said, polls don't tell us where we're going. They tell us where we are. So it's important to keep that in mind. It would be, they're not meant to be predictive. They're meant to be instructive. So I would hate to predict, but I do think given the way independent voters in this country have decided elections in the last 3 cycles in 2018, 2020, and 2022, independents have swung to Joe Biden. That's good news for the Biden campaign, is that if they're looking at the voting behavior and patterns of Americans recently, they have reason to be optimistic.
All right. OK, Michael Rosser, thank you for joining us. Thank you for giving us your thoughts. In a moment, we will get Donald Trump's take on Prince Harry. Did he lie on his visa application about his drug taking?
If they know something about the drugs, and if he lied, they'll have to take appropriate action.
Mark Dolan Tonight, weekends from 9 p.m.
I've personally been very torn on whether Prince Harry should have full police protection when he's in the United Kingdom. On the one hand, why should taxpayers fork out for somebody that's left the country and the institution? He is no longer a working, serving royal. But I don't think it matters. He is one of the most famous men in the world, and whether he's a royal or not, he is an ambassador for this country. And he still does good. Charitable causes, the Invictus Games, and he is still a nice and charming guy with a heart. And whilst he has left the royal family and departed these shores, he was and remains the son of King Charles. That is a biological fact. Well, let's hope so. And it wasn't his choice to be born into royalty. It wasn't his choice to be the son of the king. And for that reason, I think he should have equal police protection to his brother William when he is in this country. He couldn't be a more high-profile figure, and unfortunately, like all the royals, Harry will be a target for some very bad people. I fear that if, God forbid, anything happened to him or his family, the authorities would have blood on their hands. So, it's not often that I back Prince Harry, but on this one, he has my support. Look what happened to his poor mum, killed in a Paris tunnel in the 1990s with an allegedly drunk chauffeur. A top royal security insider recently told me that Diana would still be with us today if she had had top royal protection at that time. So let's not make the same mistake twice. Prince Harry needs full protection and the best we've got. Yes, he might be a numpty, but he's our numpty.
From 10 a.m. every Saturday, we want to make you think and we want to make you laugh.
So we'll give you all the top stories.
Now we start with a story that has shocked the nation this week.
But we're also going to make it light and fun and bring some entertainment in to make your Saturday morning nice and restful.
Only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Every Sunday from 11, join Michael Portillo.
There'll be topical discussion, looking at the week before and the week to come. So kick back and relax at 11 a.m. on Sundays on GB News with me, Michael Portillo. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Andrew Doyle. Join me at 7 o'clock every Sunday night for Free Speech Nation, the show where I tackle the week's biggest stories in politics and current affairs with the help of my 2 comedian panellists and a variety of special guests.
Free Speech Nation, Sunday nights from 7 on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Well, the royal family continue to dominate headlines in our newspapers. And, of course, there's always an enormous level of interest in America in them, especially from Donald Trump. Have a listen to what he has to say, especially about Prince Harry's future in America. There's one family that never goes away from the headlines. It's the royal family. Both sides of the pond. We talk about it constantly. And, of course, one of our recent exports to you is Prince Harry, who, of course, is living on the West Coast. Really interesting. You know, he's written this book, Spare, in which he openly admits to taking psychedelic drugs, to taking cocaine, to taking cannabis. And no one knows the truth. What did he put on his American visa form? Now, we know that you're not a great fan of him or Meghan. We talked about that before. But don't the American people deserve to know the truth about what went on that visa form?
Well, I guess so. I mean, I haven't spoken about him in a long time. I think there was great disrespect done to a person that I got to know very well and like the Queen. She was unbelievable. You know, I got to know her very well. Remember, I was supposed to be with her for 10 to 15 minutes, and we ended up being like for 2 hours. And then we had dinner the following night. It was such a beautiful, honoring the country, but the President of the United States. Really, I would think the country, but they were honoring me. And I got to know her very well over the course of the couple of years, and she was unbelievable. And I thought she was treated very disrespectfully by them. Very, very. She, you know, I would say, although she wouldn't show it because she was strong and smart, but I would imagine they broke her heart. The things that they were saying were so bad and so horrible. And she was in her 90s and hearing this stuff. I think they broke her heart.
No, it was horrible.
I think they really hurt her very badly.
But if he's lied on his visa form, doesn't the truth need to come out?
We'll have to,
should he get special privileges that nobody else does?
No, and we'll have to see. If they know something about the drugs, and if he lied, you'll have to take appropriate action.
Appropriate action?
Yeah.
Which might mean not staying.
Oh, I don't know. You'll have to tell me. You just have to tell me. You would have thought they would have known this a long time ago. But I thought they were very disrespectful to the family, to the royal family. I'm a big fan of the concept of the royal family and the royal family. Now, I'm a little prejudiced because I thought the Queen was incredible. I mean, think of it. All those years, 75 years, She's almost never made a mistake.
It's almost unbelievable.
Right? You know, I see politicians, they make mistakes every day. Biden, every day he makes a mistake.
Well, we all make mistakes.
He can't talk. He can't put two sentences together. She never, made a mistake. If you think about it, everything was... And it was a very interesting thing. So when I was with her, and it turned out to be a real relationship, somehow we just got along. And she said it to people, and I say it to people. But I said, who is your favorite prime minister? Oh, I like them all. Oh, they were all wonderful, weren't they? I said, well, yeah, but did you like Winston Churchill the best? Who did? Oh, he was lovely, but no, I liked every one of them. I liked them all. I said, and I couldn't get her to say, well, I couldn't do it. I tried. And then I said, who was your favorite president? Honestly, I liked them all so much. They were all so wonderful. But didn't you like Ronald Reagan the best? No, I thought he was wonderful, but I liked them all. I got along with everyone. And I realized this was genius, because I don't walk out saying she liked this one, she liked that one. She liked them all. She liked them all. She was unbelievable. And, you know, when you see the people, the lightweights that we have to watch today and nowadays and watching, like our president, he goes every day. He can't speak. She went through years and years, decades and decades,
look, she was
without making a mistake.
Incredible woman. And of course, Charles had a long wait to be king, and now he's got cancer. And I know that you and he have got some slightly different views on things, but
no, we have different views. We got along. I think he's a really wonderful guy. We got along. He was a little bit more into environmental restriction than I am.
Yeah.
I'm an environmentalist, I feel, in a true sense, but I'm a different kind of environmentalist. You know, I want to get things built. I want to get things done. He was very much into the environment, and he meant it from the heart. Now I got to know him very well. I like him, and I hope he's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And Kate, of course, who, I mean, so many of us have felt that Kate, she's obviously been ill, had a major surgery, a photograph that the press say was doctored, now an enormous row. It's pretty tough being in her position, isn't it?
Well, that shouldn't be a big deal, because everybody doctors. You look at these movie actors, and you see a movie actor, and you meet him, and you say, is that the same person in the picture? And I looked at that, actually, and it was a very minor doctoring. I don't understand why there could be such a
I think she'll be back. I think she'll be back.
She's hard. She's. I mean, it's a rough period that, you know, they went after her.
The whole family's having a rough period. Well, Trump, no fan of Prince Harry, and who knows what will happen if he's president. Well, I wonder. I'm joined by broadcast journalist Judita De Silva. Judita, the real question here is, don't the American public deserve to know the truth? Either he lied on the visa forms or was given a free pass by the Biden administration. I mean, it is a fair question, isn't it?
I mean, I think it's kind of, you have to approach it the same way as the topic we just saw you talking when you talked about Princess Kate. These are not everyday civilians. Whether you like or dislike Prince Harry, he's not an everyday civilian. So he's afforded certain protections that the everyday person doesn't have, because they don't need it. So to say that his application should be made public information is just unjustifiable, because at the end of the day, there are certain risks he is open to that everyone else isn't, and doing that opens him up even further to that. Yes, there has to be scrutiny of his application, and where there are holes, those holes have to be investigated. But that is something that shouldn't be public fodder, because at the end of the day, we live in this time, the social media era, where everyone feels they have a right to everything, and that just isn't healthy and it isn't justified. And I think that Prince Harry needs to be afforded a bit more grace, whether you like him or not.
Yeah, I get the point you're making. However, a lot of people here, not just Donald Trump, do feel that somehow he's either lied or the rules have been changed. I don't know, but I do understand your point. People in very high positions of profile do need some degree of privacy. Judita, I understand when you saw the earlier clip, I was talking with Trump about the quite rapid rise in support that he's had from black and Hispanic voters, and I understand you've got some thoughts on that.
I do, because it's something that a lot of I've talked about a lot of black journalists. And I think that this is a very important watershed moment when it comes to the Democrats and going into the election. You have to understand that whatever opinion you have of Donald Trump, he's very cunning, because he comes from a pedigree that speaks to the new generation. He's a TV man. He was a reality personality. He's a social media politician. He knows how to pander. When he achieves something, he bandies it about with rhetoric and lets you know it has been done. When it comes to the black vote, the new wave of voters are not the generation that have a lived memory of civil rights. It's historical learning to them. So the fealty that black voters have kind of always historically has the Democratic Party comes from lived memory of civil rights affiliation. The new voters don't have that. If you don't appeal to them and speak to a language that they understand, they do not feel that they're beholden to the Democratic vote. And so that is why you're finding that there is an increased move where a black person will now just judge, do you speak a language I understand, and do you appeal to me? I don't care who you are. Until the Democrats understand that young black people don't owe you anything. You have to work to earn their vote. You will lose them to Donald Trump because he's speaking a language that